So we're going to talk about N things that you don't know about the router. So how does routing work? Well, frequently we have a toolbar or some kind of something around our application that allows the user to navigate around. Behind that, we might have something like this, a router link that identifies what path that we want the user to take when they click on that link. When the user does click on that, it changes our URL so that it has that path on it. The router recognizes, hey, we've got a new something on the path, and it goes and looks for a route configuration. So what Angular does is it takes any routes configured in your application and puts them in one combined list. So it has one merged list of all of our routes. And it starts at the top and finds the first match. So in this case, it'll find the path movies, know to load the component movie list component. So it loads that component, finds the associated template, loads and prepares that. Then it starts to look for an appropriate router outlet. So it finds a router outlet, and that's where it displays the component's template. So here's our detail page with the static text. A few moments later, finally, the data shows up. Okay, so our users might not want that kind of behavior. What are our options for dealing with that? Well, one of the options that some people like to use is a resolver. So what is a resolver? Well, a resolver is part of routing, and what it does is it allows us to execute an asynchronous operation and have the routing wait for the completion of that asynchronous operation. So how do we display a spinner? Well, one easy way to do it is to use routing. We'll use routing events. So we can actually subscribe to router events. Now, in this case, I'm doing it from app component, which means that none of my other components need to know anything about this spinner. One of the other things you might want to do with your routing is guard your routes. So you might want some routes that the user can only access if they're logged in, and if they're not logged in, have it pop up a login dialog. Other routes, you might want to prevent them from navigating away. Why would you ever want to prevent someone from navigating away? Well, say we have an edit page, such as the one shown here, and the user's just made a whole bunch of edits, and then they click back on the movie list, and we don't want them to lose their edits. So we could put up a little message saying, hey, do you really want to lose your edits? Because where we really want that is right there. How do we get that right there? Well, there are numerous ways to handle it. The easiest way to handle it is lazy loading, and we should be doing lazy loading anyway. So how do we set up lazy loading? If you look at these, all of our paths start with the prefix movies. We're going to pull that movie's path off, specify it, and notice here we're right in the correct place, right under our shell component as part of the children. And we're going to specify load children, which is telling it to do lazy loading, and we give it a string. The reason we give it a string is because we do not want any references to our movie module in our app component anymore. And with that, I want to thank you all very much.